Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're still letting people in, so we'll get started in a minute. Wonderful. Thank you for all of you who are able to join us today. Okay, and we'll keep watching the waiting room and let people in as we go, but we do want to respect everyone's time because we know how valuable it is. Welcome to our first DELAC meeting of the school year here in Union School District. DELAC, if you've never been before, stands for District English Learner Advisory Committee. And we hold three of these meetings a year, and we'll get into a little bit more about what DLAC is all about. I know some of you parents are here representing your school site council as well. And I just wanted to let you know that after the meeting, we will be posting our meeting minutes on our website. So feel free to take notes because I know some of you are going to go back to school site council and share out. So feel free to take notes, but just know that the slide deck will be available to you, the meeting minutes, as well as the recording of this. So you'll have those to rely on if you need moving forward. Next slide, please. Okay, so typically we have a Spanish interpreter on these meetings. Unfortunately, we've been without a community liaison up until Monday. We have our new community liaison starting. So for today, we have enabled captions. So if you would like Spanish translation, you should just be able to click on show captions and hopefully the captions show up. We tested it before, it seemed to be working, so hopefully that continues as well. Next slide. Okay, so parents, those of you that are joining us, you'll be hearing from a number of people here in Union School District. We all come together to help all of our students, but today I will be sharing with you how we are here to support our English learner students. I'm Heather Scherer. I'm the Director of Educational Services. We have Annie Murphy, who's the Director of Student Services, which is part of Learning and Innovation. Randy Martino, feel free to wave too when I call your name, is our Parent Outreach and Wellness Coordinator. We have four teachers on special assignment, Janine, Jackie, Susan, and Abe. We have our brand new fourth and fifth grade music teacher, Emma, on the Zoom. We have our curriculum assessment and media specialist, Tristan Ruiz, and we have all of our English Learner Committee teacher leaders. So you'll be hearing from all of these people throughout the meeting today. Next slide. So we do have a packed agenda, and I know the meeting is only an hour, but we'll go through what DLAC is all about. We'll quickly review our May meeting minutes. There are within DLAC agenda items that we need to cover every single meeting. And so we'll go through some of those today, including the needs assessment, certification of staff, the importance of school attendance, and then we'll get into what tend to be parents' favorite parts of the meeting, which is hearing about the different programs and curriculum that we use in Union to support our students. Okay, so what we've learned over the last few years about doing meetings on Zoom is that oftentimes parents don't feel as comfortable unmuting their mic to ask a question. That being said, we will try to save a little bit of time at the end of the meeting for anybody that wants to stay on and ask a question. However, if you have a question about your individual student or students, what we're going to do, and it looks like Annie already did it, we have a Google form in the chat. And so if you could click on that and enter your information and your question, and then Janine or I will get back to you in the next couple of days to answer your question. Oftentimes, parents will attend DELAC, especially this very first meeting, with a specific question about their student. Maybe it's about LPAC scores, maybe it's about a school site specific question. So those we would prefer to contact you directly, just again in order to kind of save time for the good of the whole. So please click on that and ask away, and we will get back to you on that. And then for any general questions on any of the topics that we discussed, then type them in the chat whenever you think about them. And again, at the end, we'll try to do some Q&A if we haven't answered those in the meantime. And prior to getting going, we would love to take attendance for this meeting. And so if you wouldn't mind, if in the chat you could list your first name, last name, and school site in the chat box. Teachers, if you would do that as well, that would be great. And I'll give everyone a minute or so for us to take attendance. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate it. Okay, go ahead and keep going on that. And again, parents, if you already have questions, please click on that Google form and ask away. And we'll just kind of keep trucking along. So the purpose of DELAC is to learn about the district programs and services provided to English learners in Union School District. DELAC serves as an advisory capacity with district personnel, which are the teachers and administrators on this call, as well as our parents. And truly, one of the big functions of DELAC is to give input and feedback as we develop and review our district master plan and local control accountability plan, which is otherwise known as LCAP. And our next meeting after this is in January, and that's when we'll come and present about the LCAP, let you know what it's all about. It's also on our website if you're curious. It's pretty long, it's pretty lengthy, but you can go in and see our goals in our LCAP and how they relate to English learners. And then in January, we'll come back to you, present on what that is, and start getting feedback from you. And then just to learn about parent involvement activities in our district, as well as upcoming events. Next slide. Thank you. And I'll turn it over to Janine.
Hello, everybody. Well, we are trying to do a little activity via Zoom to get to know you a little bit. So with the pictures below, there's 8 of them. Parents in the chat, if you can go ahead and put the number of the picture that best describes your child's favorite subject in school, currently or last year, whatever comes to mind. And if you have more than one child, you can list a couple if you'd like. And teachers, think back, way back. What was your favorite subject if you had to pick one when you were a student? And you can focus on that, elementary school or middle school, whatever comes to mind. If you'll put that in the chat with your number, please. See some music there, Emma. Oh, reading. More music, Emma. We've got our music teacher on here. That's great. Some art. You see reading represented again, writing represented. More music. Ooh, lots of musicians in the room. I see some physical activity PE. Nice. Okay. It's interesting to think, parents, what your child's favorite subject was and thinking back maybe to what your favorite subject was and seeing if it's comparison to something similar, something different from your experience in school. Thank you very much. All right. Just a quick summary of our meeting minutes from last May when you guys met. This meeting was held via Zoom again, but the agenda items were reviewing purpose of DELAC, local control accountability plan, English learner teacher committee, and on-site share-outs, and a lot of focus around summer learning and enrichment programs with Union School District. So quickly, the meeting summary was There's a community building activity on feelings, spring feelings specifically. And it was introduced that the Union School District staff and EL committee members were all giving their updates. They reviewed the purpose of DELAC, shared an LCAP review, and asked for questions. Parents were asked to complete an LCAP feedback form to gather their thoughts and input. And once again, this was last spring. EL teacher leaders, the EL committee introduced themselves and gave their site updates with activities going on, and then specific strategies and interventions used at their school site to support specific English language development. There was an update on Union School District summer enrichment camp details. Highlights were shared from the Spanish, social, and adult English class. And then Union School District summer learning opportunities were highlighted. And then the meeting was adjourned with thanking parents for attending and reminding them that any DELAC questions they had would be answered via email or through the form.
Okay. And we have an excellent number of participants on this meeting. So I just wanted to give a kudos to all of you parents for joining in. It's just so important to be involved in your kids' education, as you all know. And so I just wanted to give a shout out to you because this is probably one of our biggest DELAC meetings. So I just want to thank you. And for those of you that jumped on a little bit after we started, then just a reminder that if you are going to be reporting back to your school site council, then just know that we'll send you this slide deck and the meeting minutes. So you don't have to remember everything as we talk, because I know sometimes we go a little bit faster. Okay, so this is one of those slides that is not always the most exciting slide, but it's a part of DELAC that we are required to cover each time. And it is interesting and good to know. But every year, school districts need to report out on the certification of teachers. And so here in Union School District, it's actually above 99%, but I put 99% of our teachers are considered CLAD certified. And CLAD is defined below, but essentially it means that our teachers have not only received their basic teaching credential, but they've also received a CLAD certification, which makes them eligible to teach English learners. So again, 99% of our staff is already CLAD certified, and then 2 of our teachers are working towards this certification, and then 2 are in an intern program. I believe both are at within San Jose State, where they're also working towards full certification. So we always do a great job in Union hiring the best teachers. So we're proud to share that statistic. And then also just to talk a little bit more about what CLAD covers. It basically means that we're all certified to teach English learners, and that can be either as if we're pulling small groups of English learners within our classroom. It can also mean teaching whole class instruction, but knowing what strategies to use to meet the needs of English learners. And then we also, and this is pretty technical, we like to use lots of acronyms in education, but we're also eligible to teach what's called SEDI. And it's just a teaching methodology where we plan our instruction knowing what strategies are best to meet the needs of English learners, and we plan our lessons accordingly. So we always have our English learners in mind. We know what the California English language development standards are in conjunction with our California state standards, and use both to plan lessons to meet the needs of all learners, including our English learners. And then another DELAC requirement, and this is a great requirement, is that we, as part of DELAC, need to reach out to the parents of all of our English learners to get their feedback. So we use this needs assessment survey that Annie is going to pop in the chat for us. Thank you, Annie. Not only to collect feedback on what you would like us to present at future DELAC meetings, because we've had any number of presenters throughout the year based on what parents have shared they want to know more about. But also we use this when we are creating our local control accountability plan every year. So again, we'll talk more about that in January. But when we meet with our whole, it's called our whole LCAP Educational Partners Committee, separate committee, but we bring this survey data to that committee to help build our LCAP. So if you would please, 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 please complete the needs assessment either now as you're listening or click on it at least so then you have it and fill it out later. And if you know other parents that weren't able to make it today, and if you could ask them to fill it out, we'd really appreciate it just because each year parents' wants and needs are different. And so we want to make sure that we capture the parents of our current English learners. So thank you for that. And then Annie, I'll turn it over to you for school attendance.
All right, so just some information to share with you about school attendance. September is Attendance Awareness Month. And so we just want to give you some highlights of how important good school attendance and what that means. If students have too many absences, excused or unexcused, it can keep them from succeeding in school. So when a student hits 10% of absences, whether they're excused for illness or there's a long list of them, that still counts and you're considered what's called chronically absent. So we really want to make sure that your students are here every day. We understand students get sick, and if they are sick, yes, please keep them home, but making sure they come to school every day is important, as if they miss school, it can really knock them off track for learning. You may receive an attendance letter at some point in your student's schooling career. This little chart here just kind of lets you know what that looks like. So if you do receive an attendance letter, if a student has 3 or more truancies, and those mean unexcused, so unexcused absences or an unexcused tardy over 30 minutes, you're going to receive a letter. If there's more, then you're going to receive another letter, and you'll have what's called a pre-SARB, School Attendance Review Board meeting with your site administrator. And then if they continue with those unexcused, you'll go to what's called a SARB hearing, which is a school attendance review board hearing, where we come up with a plan to help you get your student at school. So don't ever think these letters, they're not meant to like I got you. It's more of a let's work together. We are a team in this, and we want to support you with that. I am going to put a link in the chat that we had an attendance parent night back at the beginning of September with myself and our district attorney, Alicia Schoen, who oversees the truancy and attendance for the county. And it just provides you a lot of great information on ways to support your child in coming to school. And just reminding that if your child is missing a lot and you need support, reach out to your school principal. They're here to support you. We want your child at school every day. And so that's our number one goal. And we also have this great resource called WeTip. You might have seen signs at your school site. I know most principals put it into their newsletters. WeTip is an anonymous reporting line. Should something be happening at school that you feel you might not be able to getting the support you need, or maybe you just want to share about something and not put who you are, these come through. I get every WeTip, and those are all investigated when we get them. And sometimes it allows you can do two-way communication, where I can reach out to you to find more information out, still anonymously. But it allows us to make sure that if something is happening, we're investigating and looking into it.
Hey. Hello, my name is Emma Gregg, and I am the 4-5 music teacher. I teach 4th grade general music and the 5th grade choir. And then the other 4-5 music teacher teaches 4th grade general music and 5th grade band, and that's David Jackson. For our 4th grade general music classes, the students are using boom whackers right currently, and we're going to be using recorders and ukuleles later in the year. They're learning to read simple rhythms and melodies. We're doing that through a lot of games that we are playing, and they're going to have 2 performances in the year, and they're going to have about 2 or 3 songs per concert. The 5th grade choir and rhythm class is learning to read rhythms and notes, and playing a lot of musical games to help improve those rhythm and note skills. And then the choir will also have 2 performances with 2 to 3 songs at each concert. And then our 5th grade band concert is going to, our 5th grade band, they are playing trumpet, trombone, clarinet, or flute. And then there will also be some percussion that is later added on in the year. And they will have three performances with 2 to 3 songs at each concert, with some opportunities for solos in it. So, yeah.
And we're very excited that we get to have fourth and fifth grade music this year. Those of you that are middle school parents know that we have an outstanding middle school band program, but we've never had the funding to really have music across all of our elementary sites until this year, thanks to a proposition that passed a couple of years back called Prop 28. And so this is the first time here in Union that at every school site in fourth and fifth grade, students will get exposure and lessons in regards to music. So thank you, Emma. We're so glad to have you in our district. And then we're going to move on. We kind of sprinkle in the fun stuff with some of the data stuff, but to just some basic English learner data. Oftentimes, teachers new to our district or parents new to our district, if they've lived in the San Jose area or Bay Area, are surprised by our number of English learners, or sometimes they're surprised how few we have compared to neighboring districts. Some of our neighboring districts, San Jose Unified, Campbell, Moreland, have a far greater number of English learners. And so it's interesting. It's interesting to look at the data from year to year. So currently, Union School District has about 15.5% of our student population is current English learner. Compared to in the county, it's about 22%, and then compared to California, which is at about 18.4%. And then on the next slide, we have a breakdown of the percentage of English learners throughout our schools here in Union. So I'll give everyone 30 seconds or so to check that out. You can kind of check out your student schools EL population. Okay, and the next slide. And then these next two slides are interesting and they change from year to year, which I find fascinating. So this slide shows within the languages spoken in Union School District. So this is our current English learners and students that at one time were English learners, but have since been reclassified. So it's kind of anyone that's ever been categorized as an English learner, like current and reclassified, the languages they speak at home. So you'll notice in this slide, when you take our whole group of second language speakers, Mandarin is the highest in our district, followed by Korean, Spanish, Japanese, and then Hindi. So this was last year, this chart was the same, except Hindi wasn't fifth, it was Russian that was fifth, but the top four were the same. The year prior to that, Spanish was number one. So we make sure that we look at data from year to year so that we know who our students are, know who our populations are, know who our cultures are within the district so that we can plan activities, multicultural events, and then plan lessons within our classroom. And so we do really try to keep our fingers on the pulse of the data of our district. And then the next slide is similar, but it shows the percentage of languages spoken in Union School District by our current English learners. So students that are currently haven't mastered English yet is indicated here. So in this case, our current English learners are Spanish, Korean, Mandarin, Japanese, and then Russian. And again, this changes from year to year. So always we want to share this data point out with you and just let you know that we just keep tabs on it. We report all of this information out to our school board so they know our current demographics, and we share it with all of our principals and school sites as well. Okay, and then this is just a basic timeline of English learner proficiency assessments. So there are a number of you on here who probably already know about the LPAC, and some of you may already have students who have been reclassified and no longer take the LPAC. So this is the cycle of the LPAC. And LPAC stands for English Learner Proficiency Assessments of California. It is a state and federal requirement for all districts in California, but from state to state as well, to give some sort of assessment to indicate each English learner's level of proficiency in reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And so August through September, any student that is new to the country, we are required to give the initial, who indicates that they speak another language. We are required to give what's called the initial LPAC within 30 calendar days of the first day of school. And then we send those scores out as soon as they're available. What's nice is it used to take the state of California, they're the ones that score this assessment, weeks to score it. And now with updated technology, it's we get the scores back way more quickly, which is great because then we can get that info to teachers and school sites so that they can use that info to better plan their lessons. October through December. So students that have already taken the LPAC are each year then we determine from those LPAC scores who is eligible for what's called reclassification. And when a student is reclassified, it means that they have shown through LPAC assessment, state assessment, teacher recommendation, and parent recommendation that they are equivalent to their native English speaking peers and have shown that in a school setting. And so I'll talk more about reclassification at the January meeting because there's more to it than that, but that's essentially the gist. And so October through December, we look at the scores from the spring LPAC and to determine who those students are. In order to be reclassified, I know a couple of you have chatted me a couple of questions about that. A student needs to receive an overall score of a 4 on the LPAC. So if your student last spring took the LPAC and they got a 4, and then each of their reading, writing, listening, and speaking subdomains are a 3 or a 4, then that's the first step to being reclassified. And then from there, there's a whole process that we go through to look at the other data and get that input. So just know that timeline is coming up and it's a lengthy process, but we try to take October through December to get that done and then let parents know. And we call every parent to make sure that parents agree with the reclassification. Sometimes parents say, I don't agree. I would like them to be considered an English learner for an additional year to make sure they, are reading, writing, listening, and speaking, even more proficiently. And so we take the parents' input into consideration as we're going through this process. And that's January. And then February through May is when we give the yearly LPAC. Then again, same thing with the summative is the scores get back to us way more quickly than they used to in the past. So this year we were able to get out summative LPAC scores by the middle of June, whereas it used to be more like August, September. So we're really excited about that. And then once a student is reclassified, we're required by the state and federal government to monitor students for 4 years to make sure that they aren't kind of slipping through the cracks in regards to their education. So during that February through May timeline, we're also reviewing student data. And again, July through September, and actually I should change that because now it's more like June through August, we share summative scores with parents. All right, so now we have our LPAC scores and kind of what the LPAC is and that timeline, but parents are typically more interested in what we do when we know a student is an English learner. So Janine, I'll turn it over to you.
Yes. So this is an area of excitement in Union School District. We have been working really hard to get to this point with a lot of district support, teacher support. So we're proud to say that we have EL intervention curriculum with interventionists at every single site. And Susan Lavelle, one of our TOSAs at Union School District, has worked very, very hard to implement this, selecting curriculum, working with interventionists at each site. We also make sure that we look at data such as the LPAC scores to see which students should be receiving which services. So we have a couple different programs that we use with our EL intervention curriculum, and one is Frames for Fluency. The other one is Carousel of Ideas. We're also using within interventions lessons from the University of Florida Literacy Institute, also referred to as UFLY, and then leveled literacy intervention. We refer to that as LLI. So this is all small group instruction, pull out designated ELD time, as well as literacy time. And the way that it works is that Susan Lavelle Artosa checks in with each team, each interventionist at every site: Alta Vista, Carlton, Guadalupe, Leeds, Nauden, Oster, and the middle schools, UMS and DMS for Union and Dartmouth, and making sure that we are consistent to meet the needs of our learners. A lot of support is targeted towards our LPAC scores with students that are scoring ones and twos, and making sure that we support them through what they need through these interventions. And then we also make sure that we come back to the data and see where students are growing and where they need extra support. And so this isn't just we go ahead and have this intervention program and kind of keep going. It's a really touch base with the interventionist weekly and every 6 weeks, kind of see the progress that's made by the students as well. Okay, Heather, I think that one's you there.
Yeah. So in addition to our intervention support, we are always on the path to help teachers learn about the most effective research-based strategies when working with our English learners. And GLAD is one of those sets of strategies. So GLAD stands for Guided Language Acquisition and Design. And again, it's a way for teachers to plan lessons that meet the needs of all of their kids, but really hone in on how to best support our English learners. So this meeting is very timely because we currently have 2 GLAD trainers coming to each of our elementary school sites. It started today and we're going through next week to meet with each grade level teacher team to plan a unit with our new-ish social studies curriculum or our brand new science curriculum. So we recently adopted social studies 2 years ago and then science last year, and we're implementing both this year. And so our GLAD trainers are meeting with teacher teams to really take a look at the curriculum and figure out the best way to embed GLAD strategies. So we wanted to share this out with you as well. And we will likely be talking about GLAD the next couple of meetings as well, because it is a big district initiative. Again, just really to help teachers learn these best practices and implement them in their classroom.
Okay, the moment you've been waiting for. This is when we get to touch base with each site. So our EL committee members are going to give you an update of what's currently happening at their school sites and any sort of specific ELD strategies that they've noticed on their site. EL committee members, when I call your school site out, if you can go ahead and introduce yourself and go ahead and give your brief update, that would be lovely. So we are going to start out with Oster.
Okay. Hi, I'm Megan Carrick. I teach 4th grade at Oster. We've been using a lot of different GLAD strategies lately, especially in our social studies unit, specifically in 4th grade. I know we do a lot of posters, a lot of color coding, lots of visuals, and a lot of like interactive work between the students together so they feel a little bit more comfortable before speaking out in full groups. I also just recently, last Friday, implemented our barrier game that we learned in our EL meeting that we had last week, and the students absolutely loved it. They had so much fun, and I think it's something that we'll definitely try again.
Great, thanks, Megan. All right. Next school up, Nauden.
Hello, so this is Marwa Ahmed from Naden. I'm a first grade teacher. At Naden, we have a lot of things happening. We started field trips and we had a few in-house field trips. And we have Pajama Day tomorrow. We also have Naden Fest coming soon. And we're all excited. We are starting our small reading instruction groups where we tailor, the reading instruction to the students' level. And that started already. A lot of fun things happening. And also we are we just got today GLAD training on using the new science curriculum that, we're using this year. And we also are using Imagine Learning with our students that are, EL students if they are scoring 1 or 2. And we have our Rosetta Stone, and we have landline for translation if we need to. We have a few students who do not speak English and they need the Google Translator, which is available on their Chromebook or iPad. They use it when needed, and the teacher also we use it when we need it. So that's it from Naden.
Thank you, Marwa. I'm going to speak for Carlton. Josie was unable to make it, but she was at the EL committee meeting last week. So we touched base there. And to represent Carlton News, they have their walkathon coming up. Their school walkathon is Saturday, September 28th from 10 to 3. It's a big, fun family event. It's the biggest fundraiser of the year for them. And it's a community event with activities, prizes, food, and once again, fun. They recently had their STEAM night. We had district STEAM nights across, and it was a success at Carlton. Well attended. A lot of families really had positive things to say about it. The Library and Media Center opens next week, and each class gets to visit weekly. So teachers and students are excited for that. And the intervention for English language learners in reading and math is going really well. So happy to report there. And next up, let's have Union Middle School.
Okay. Sorry, I'm getting my camera on. My name is Jen Zangwell, and I teach 7th grade social studies. I teach our EL class, and I teach 6th grade debate. We had a Spirit Day last week, which was Beach Day, and coming up next Friday, we'll have Neon Day in anticipation of our first dance, which is Neon Dance. Should be lots of fun. And that dance is for 7th and 8th graders. Let's see. I can speak for myself since I use a lot of EL strategies since I have the EL class and a lot of EL students. I really enjoy the Elevate strategies, and one that I use a lot with in social studies, but also with my EL class students is I wonder. The students love it. I show them a picture, and even my students who hardly have any English at all participate, and it amazes me every time how much they've grown even since the beginning of the school year. So they do it orally, they sometimes do it in writing, so it's great. And they've been teaching me their languages as well. And so I have a little bit of Korean now, a little bit of Japanese, a little bit of Russian. And by the end of the year, I can't wait to see what I've learned as well. So it's been a fun time over here at UMS.
Thanks so much, Jen. Okay, next up, Lee.
Hi, my name's Monica Lerma, and I teach 2nd and 3rd grade at Leeds. I wanted to mention that we are using GLAD strategies at our school. And what Heather had talked about earlier with social studies, we have the social studies last year. And fortunately at Leeds, we had a trainer come and work with us. And so I have seen the 3rd grade, we had worked on a process grid. And this year we have some new teachers at Leeds in 3rd grade, and they're using what we designed last year, this year. So that planning time really helps at the site level and helps new teachers as well to our district. The other thing that we're doing at LEATS is we are using the carousel of ideas for emerging students to help with their reach proficiency in reading and writing. And then the last thing I wanted to share is one of my colleagues told me that she uses the Read Write app in Google, and that really helps her students who, because it reads the text to them, and that you can highlight words that you want to understand the vocabulary or the meaning of them, and it creates a Google Doc for that. So that's something that her students are learning to help everyone access the reading that we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Monica. Next up, Guadalupe.
Have to find my audio. Hello, hello. So we are also using the carousel of ideas and which has the frames for fluency and UFly, as you mentioned. Within classrooms, we are using our GLAD strategies also with both social studies and science. Other things that are happening here are next Friday we have Blue Day and then a family picnic at night. On the 30th, we have our first Roars Assembly. We're rolling out our second year, well, our first real year of PBIS. So the kids have been watching super fun videos of how to behave and how to use their roars, which is responsibility, ownership, acceptance, respect, and safety around school. So we have videos of the teachers doing it the wrong way, and the kids we have students do it the right way. It's kind of fun. They've enjoyed that. So our first assembly is in a couple weeks. On the 20, let's see. Looking here, our dates. On the 3rd, we have our walkathon kickoff assembly, and then the walkathon, which is also our biggest fundraiser, happens on the 23rd of October. In between those, we also have on the 11th an international fair and a movie night. And the international fair last year was very impressive with all the parents and children who volunteered. Came in like traditional dress, had food samples, also did traditional different performances. It was amazing. And we have some kids practicing for Seussical, the musical, coming up, and a spelling bee in October for those of you who wanted to. So that's what Guadalupe is up to.
Thank you so much, Amy. Appreciate it. And Dartmouth.
Hi, my name is Susie Powers, and I'm an English language development teacher at Dartmouth. And just kind of jumping off of something Amy just shared, their international night is similar to what we call the multicultural fair, and that is happening tomorrow. So everybody's all abuzz about it, very excited that from 6 to 8 tomorrow night, all the families are invited to come for free. And will be food and music and performances. And I heard last year was amazing, and we had great attendance, and I believe it will be the same tomorrow. And then another thing coming up is a spelling bee. We have a big excitement around the spelling bee this year. They have all kinds of promotions. If students even come to the informational meetings at lunch, they get little rewards. They're really trying to get as many students as possible involved in that. And that takes place October, what is that, 21st through the 23rd. And they need to have their signups in by the 11th. And let's see, we also have had quite a few teachers from Dartmouth become involved in the EL Elevation program that's fairly new to our district. And they come to trainings that teach us lots of strategies for reaching our ELL students. And it's been nice to see the teachers during collaboration really talk about the data that we can much more easily access through EL Elevation. So that's been a real exciting thing to see happening on our campus. So could go on and on, but lots of great things happening.
Thank you, Susie. Appreciate it. And we are going to wrap it up with Alta Vista. Tosa, Jackie is going to share for that site.
So the report that I got said that we've all been using morning meetings during which students practice listening and speaking skills in a safe and low pressure environment. They participate in activities like greetings and sharing and group discussions, giving our English learning students a chance to hear the language. Just by hearing it, students pick up on the sentence structure, new words, and idiomatic idiomatic expressions, which are harder to learn through direct instruction. So lots of speaking opportunities.
Thanks, Jackie. Appreciate it. All right, wonderful things going on across the district. Thanks for sharing. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. We now have an announcement to make about our upcoming Helping Harvest Festival. This will be our third year holding the Helping Harvest Festival, and the last 3 years we showcase the kindness and generosity that's within our district, whether it's donating food or donating clothing for our clothing closet. This year we'll be asking families to see if they have instruments in their house that they would like to donate to our musical instrument drive for our new music program. We'll be having student performances, photo booth, DJs, activities, therapy dogs, and we'll also have a booth for our parent language ambassadors. And we started this last year and it was a huge success. And what a parent language ambassador is someone who speaks a language other than English or English as well, and is able to help families who come into the district, whether it's your school or the district, to help them navigate being a parent in the school district. And so I'm going to put that in the chat box now. If you're interested in becoming a parent language ambassador, we would love your support, but we also would love to see you out on Saturday, October 6th from 1 to 3 p.m. at Dartmouth. And it should be a wonderful event. And we want to celebrate the generosity that's within our community that makes us special.
And Randy, before you move on, could you share a little bit about the clothing closet?
Yeah, so we started the clothing closet 2 years ago to help some of our families who were in need of some basic things, sweatshirts, to underwear, socks. We realized that within our community of 8 schools, there are lots of families and friends of families who require some assistance. Clothing's expensive, transportation's difficult. And so Dartmouth now showcases an entire classroom full of brand new clothing, from infants all the way to adults. We have hygiene items, pillows, blankets, and also material about accessing Medi-Cal services, vaccinations. And so really it's a one-stop shop. We will have an online portal for parents to be able to connect, to make appointments to come. As it is now, I meet families in the evenings and on the weekends. And if there are students that we know need things like backpacks, or we know their sizes, we pick up items out of the clothing closet. We'll also be doing a drive at the Helping Harvest Festival that's student driven to help raise funds to purchase the items. So it's a wonderful gesture, and it's something that our district has needed for quite some time. So Language Line Translation Services. This is a powerful program that we've had for the last 3 years in our district, and Language Line provides on-time direct translation from either in person or on the phone. And what a person would do if they want to come to the school and speak to someone who works here, a teacher or an employee, they can ask for Language Line. And once we find out what their language is that they speak, within a couple minutes or a minute or so, they are hooked up to an interpreter that will interpret everything that is said. Parents can call from home. We do it in our conferences. And we do ask our parents who speak another language, who might have family members or husbands and wives that want to attend a parent conference, to request Language Line translation service during the conference or any important meeting, so that you're able to ask questions in the full kind of depth of what you want to understand. And so it's a wonderful free service, and we've enjoyed using it. And we use it a lot in our front offices, and we're seeing teachers, we get the logs of who uses it. We see teachers use it almost every day. So thank you.
Excellent. So this is a resource that I share with parents whenever I get the opportunity. The name is Colorin, Colorado, and Spanish speakers laugh at me whenever I say it, because it is a Spanish expression, or it's an expression in Spanish. And so it's kind of like a catchy name, but really it's a tried and true website that offers great resources both for teachers and for parents. I like to share it at this first DELAC meeting, because in about 6 weeks, parent-teacher conferences are going to be happening at the elementary school site. and it has a great section called Tips for Parent-Teacher Conferences. So those of you that have children already in our schools know that that conference time is so beneficial, but it's short. So it's usually between 20 and 30 minutes, but it's a great time for parents to sit one-on-one with your child's teacher to talk about how your student is progressing in the classroom. And so some parents are very well versed in conferences, have done them multiple times, feel very comfortable, and other parents don't even know where to start, especially if it's their first time, if any of you have a TK student or a kinder student and haven't had this before. And so I really suggest that you check out colorincolorado.org prior to conference time if you want some tips. There are a bunch of different videos. There are articles in a number of languages, so it's not just English, Spanish. And then there are also areas that talk about literacy tips, and they do it in age span. So it's literacy tips for 3 to 5-year-olds, literacy tips for kindergartners. And then again, there are other resources that go grade by grade. And so I encourage you to explore that resource as we are at the start of school. It's kind of wild. I think this is our 6th week, which it seems like school just started. But it's just a great way to kick off the school year every year to kind of dig into some of these resources. So I highly recommend that. And then this next slide shows our upcoming DELAC meetings. So again, our next one isn't until January 30th, and then we'll follow that one up May 9th. January 30th, we'll dig more into the whole reclassification process, but really that's the meeting where we'll come talk to you about the local control accountability plan. So it's the current plan is on our website if you're interested. It's, again, pretty long, but you can go through it to see what our district-wide goals are. And every year we have the opportunity to change our goals, to look at our current student population, our current parent feedback, and change them for the next year. And so we really want to make sure that we have input from parents of our English learners. So please, please, please come to that meeting if you can. And then, as I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, if you weren't here right at the very beginning, please fill out the needs assessment survey that we've dropped into the chat a number of times, because we'll use that survey to plan upcoming presenters at DELAC as well as for our LCAP. And then May 9th, we'll come back again and share with you the updates that we made to our LCAP before we bring it to the school board in June. And then from there, the school board has to approve it, and then we send it off to the county office to approve every year. So it's a cyclical process that we do from year to year. And then this last slide has our contact information. And so hopefully those of you that have questions about your individual students, please fill out either that Google form and ask. One of you asked me a direct message chat, so I will email you back with the answer to that about your student. But you can also email Janine or I. So our email addresses are here. Again, if you weren't here at the beginning of the meeting, since this is on Zoom when we record it, we try to avoid personal student questions on the Zoom, but please reach out to us and just give us a couple of days and we'll make sure we get back to you. And then one of our parents on the meeting had a great question. They asked, it was along the lines of, do we plan on developing a unified EL strategy among our union schools for each grade level? And so it's a great question. And actually, we didn't have anything like that until last year. So our English committee teacher leaders that have all presented today came together and kind of said the same thing. So we know teachers are doing these great strategies, but it's different from classroom to classroom. And some of our brand new teachers come in saying, okay, I know I'm certified. I learned everything in credential school, but really, what are the strategies that work the best? So we developed what we call our English Learner Continuum tool. And so we developed it last year and tweaked it a little bit to fine tune it. And then we shared it with all of our principals, and our EL committee members also shared it with their entire school staff. And so now across the board, we have, and it's not a exhaustive list of every strategy that can be done because there are so many, but it's kind of a list of kind of the best research-based strategies that teachers can do to work with our English learners in each of the LPAC levels. So students that are newcomers all the way up to students who are almost about to be reclassified. So I love that question because it's something that we just developed in the spring, and we continue to roll it out each year, and we will continue to roll it out as we go throughout the year. When sometimes principals meet with teachers, not sometimes, teachers meet with principals yearly to talk about their goals for the year. And we have heard from some of the school sites that they're using that EL tool to have those goal setting conferences. So it's very exciting. And then I did want to give a plug for, and maybe some of you were part of our classes last year. Last year, we started for the very first time adult English classes. So I know some of you on the call speak perfect English because I've met some of you, and that is amazing. But we do have a number of families in our community that don't speak English. And so as their kids are learning English in school, we have heard that they would like to learn English as well. And so last year we held a beginner class. It was either 6 or 8 weeks, but we held it twice a week. So for parents that know very little English up to they know some English but didn't feel super comfortable. And they got to improve their language skills with one of our retired credentialed teachers, Laura Romsberg. We had great results and great feedback from that class. And it was for all things, from learning idioms to grammar. And those of you that speak two languages, I wish I did, but I don't, know how hard English is. It's very complex. It's a very tricky language. And I just saw a comment in the chat too. On top of that, then we held an intermediate advanced class that was done in a book club form. And we have a retired high school teacher, the spouse of one of our TOSAs. So Mr. Steve Lavelle, and Susan is on here as well, run, and again, I believe it was 6 weeks, an advanced book study course. So we purchased the novel for all of the adults that wanted to sign up for the class. And then Steve Lavelle took parents through a discussion each week about the chapters that parents had read. And Susan, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but is there anything else that you want to chime in about? I just know that when I visited, the parents had formed like this great little community. Multiple languages were spoken within the class, and the point of me telling you all this is that we're starting the classes back up in mid-October. So be on the lookout for flyers coming through about that. And Susan, do you want to share anything, or no? I can't see you, so I don't know.
Oh, sure. I'd love to. It was a really special experience. We had a core group of about 10 or 12 parents, moms and one dad. So shout out to the dads to please join us too. And they read The Namesake, which was a lovely book about an Indian family and how they came to America, and how to maintain your own culture while becoming American as well. And it was great conversations every week. We met for an hour every Wednesday night from 5 to 6. And we're going to start the next book club, hopefully on October 16th. And we will be reading a really terrific book called A Man Called Ove. And it is a heartwarming, huggable book at the end, featuring how important it is to be a part of a community. And we're looking forward to getting that started up again.
Thank you. And with that, we've come to the end of our session. Oh, good. Yes, we're getting some comments about that book. And yes, but we're coming to the end of our DELAC session. Parents that are heading back to school site councils to present. I know that school site councils enjoy hearing what other sites in the district are doing, because sometimes ideas spark from that. So feel free to share any of what our teacher leaders have shared as well. Email us with any questions, and then give Janine and I a couple of days to get through all of the questions on the Google form, and we will definitely get back to you. But until then, thanks everyone.